The Punic Wars were a series of 3 wars fought between the states of Rome and Carthage. They occurred from 264 BC to 146 BC, and were firstly largely about control over the Mediterranean region, but turned into one of the most spiteful and vengeful wars in history. The name Punic comes from the Latin word Punicus, meaning Carthaginian. The First Punic War, from 264 to 241 BC, started with a dispute over control of Sicily, which was then a Carthaginian province. However, the city of Messana asked both Rome and Carthage for help against the Syracusan tyrant, Hiero II. The Romans, keen to obtain a foothold in the region, arrived first, sparking the initial conflict. A largely naval conflict, Carthage had a powerful navy, giving them a clear advantage. But the Romans quickly learned to adapt and build their own. They even invented a device called the corvus, a sort of boarding plank, which allowed their soldiers to board enemy ships and fight in the way they were accustomed to on land. After over 2 decades of fighting, Rome won the First Punic War at the Battle of the Aegates Islands in 241 BC. Carthage, financially exhausted and also dealing with mercenary revolts at home, agreed to a peace treaty. Rome's terms included Carthage giving up Sicily and paying a large indemnity. After the First Punic War, Carthage was dealing with an uprising that became the Truceless War from 241 to 237 BC, a major conflict with its own mercenaries who had not been paid due to financial issues. The war was incredibly brutal. Carthage, initially under siege and close to collapse, managed to turn the situation around under the leadership of General Hamilcar Barca, the father of Hannibal Barca. During this time, Rome seized Corsica and Sardinia, which were Carthaginian territories. This action was considered an unacceptable offence by Carthage and played a part in the events leading to the Second Punic War. Meanwhile, Hamilcar Barca expanded Carthaginian influence in Spain to compensate for the loss of Sicily, Corsica, and Sardinia. Carthago Nova, New Carthage, was founded in 228 BC, located on the southeastern coast of Spain. The city had a strategic harbour and was rich in resources, particularly silver mines. This wealth helped finance the Carthaginian military efforts against Rome. The city also served as the jumping-off point for Hannibal's famed journey across the Alps during the Second Punic War. The Second Punic War, from 218 to 201 BC, is the most famous of the 3, mainly because of the Carthaginian general Hannibal Barca. The war started over a dispute about the city of Saguntum, a Roman ally in Spain. Hannibal besieged the city, and despite its appeal to Rome, the city fell. Hannibal's subsequent crossing of the Alps into Italy with his army, including war elephants, is one of the most famous military endeavours in history. He won several major battles against Rome in Italy, including the Battle of Trebia, Lake Trasimene, and Cannae, but couldn't force a decisive political victory. Hannibal's decision not to march on Rome immediately after his resounding victory at the Battle of Cannae in 216 BC has been a subject of debate among historians for centuries. Eventually, Rome adopted the Fabian Strategy named after the Roman dictator Quintus Fabius Maximus, also known as the cunctator or delayer. This strategy involved avoiding open battle with Hannibal and instead focusing on defeating his allies and reclaiming lost territories. A young Roman general, Scipio Africanus, managed to push the Carthaginians out of Spain and then took the fight to Africa. At the Battle of Zama in 202 BC, he defeated Hannibal, ending the Second Punic War. Carthage lost its overseas empire, its navy, and had to pay a significant war indemnity. The Third Punic War, from 149 to 146 BC, was initiated by Rome and was less a war than a siege. Roman senators, especially Cato the Elder, had been calling for the destruction of Carthage for years, using the phrase Carthago delenda est, Carthage must be destroyed. Rome accused Carthage of breaking the peace treaty of the Second Punic War by waging war against its neighbour Numidia, a Roman ally. This provided the casus belli for Rome to lay siege to Carthage. The war ended with the complete destruction of the city of Carthage, its walls pulled down and its fields sown with salt to ensure nothing would grow there again. The remaining Carthaginian population was sold into slavery. These wars had a significant impact on the future of Rome, setting it up as the dominant power in the Mediterranean, paving the way for its future expansion. They also led to significant developments in military tactics and strategy, many of which are still studied today. The Punic Wars were marked by exceptional leaders on both sides, and have long been the subject of study due to their scale, length, and influence on subsequent history.